A landmark study on the impact of climate change has identified the Indian Ocean and surrounding countries as a region with the highest risk of natural hazards, singularly vulnerable to extreme weather and climate events. The report prepared by the Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology says a rise in seawater temperatures is the highest in the northwestern Indian Ocean, including the Arabian Sea. The rise in seawater temperatures will result in heavy rainfall events and extremely severe cyclones. The rise in seawater temperatures extends to a depth of 2,000 meters. It's not just on the surface. The temperature rise results in thermal expansion, which means a rise in seawater levels. The Indian Ocean dipole, a phenomena which affects the pattern of the monsoons and cyclones, is expected to change dramatically, and the ocean itself is moving to a near-permanent marine heatwave state. Now this will devastate corals, seagrass, kelp forests. It could affect fisheries as well and result in a scenario where a cyclone could intensify from a depression to a severe category cyclone in a few hours. Finally, a change in temperature affects the level of the ocean's acidity. It's a very delicate balance. A change here will devastate numerous marine organisms. Well, joining us now, Dr. Roxy Mathew Koll, climate scientist at the Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology. Thanks very much, Dr. Koll, for being with us. Are many of the events that we've discussed, or you've discussed or written about in your report, already upon us?
Thanks, Vishnu, for making this a point of discussion. Climate change, Indian Ocean warming, and so on. Indian Ocean is particularly warm ocean, even in its natural state, and surrounded by it, we have about 40 countries feeling the brunt of the warming. Just now, I saw a report from the World Meteorological Organization and some of the monitored state of high temperatures, the maximum temperatures that's going on over the Indo-Pacific. We are in a frying pan. Come on, Pune, just a day before we experienced temperatures going up to 43.3 degrees Celsius. And these are high temperatures that we haven't experienced before. And one of the major reasons is because the oceans around us are warming, particularly the Indian Ocean. And it's warming at a rapid pace. If the change was about 1.2 degrees Celsius in the past, in the last 7 decades per century, 1.2 degrees Celsius per century, we are seeing in our research based on the IPCC models, we might experience somewhere between 1.7 to 3.8 degrees Celsius per century warming between 2020 and 2100. That is unprecedented warming that we might face in the future. This is because the oceans absorb a lot of heat.
Dr. Koll, one of the most startling points in your report, which I've read very carefully, is that storms might actually end up becoming very severe cyclonic storms in a matter of hours. So that means that even forecasts, and we have better forecasts now than even a few years back, might end up being relatively inaccurate.
Yeah, so cyclones source their energy, the heat and moisture from the warm waters of the ocean. And when these waters are about 28, 29 degrees Celsius or 30 degrees Celsius, like what we see right now, these cyclones end up intensifying faster. We call it rapid intensification. So it happens like a weak cyclone. So we are going to sleep thinking it's a weak cyclone about 100 kilometer per hour speed. But by the time we wake up, it has gone blasted up to a 250 kilometer per hour speed cyclone, extremely severe cyclone that we call. And by the time, before we realize it, our roofs are gone. So this kind of rapid intensification is quite hard for models to pick up, forecast models to pick up. So one of the reasons is because we do not monitor the oceans well enough. So the models are also unable to pick up this rapid intensification for the forecast. And this could add more uncertainty in the future. Cyclone Tote is one of the best examples, or some of the recent cyclones which intensified rapidly.
Dr. Koll, what about the impact on coral formations and coral islands like the Lakshadweep chain?
Yeah, so in our report, we see that there are heat waves in the ocean as well. These are called marine heat waves, extremely warm temperatures where the instead of 28 degrees Celsius temperature, we see temperatures going up to 32, occasionally 33, 34 degrees Celsius temperatures, ocean temperatures, which are recorded by buoys in the Indian Ocean. So this can lead to severe coral bleaching. Corals have this mucous membrane called zooxanthellae that gives, it's like a shield that provides the color and protects it from diseases. And when you have extremely warm temperatures, it peels off this mucous membrane and exposes the skeleton of the corals. We call it coral bleaching. And if you have more and more of these marine heat waves, like we see in the report, these corals get killed. And though across the globe, if you consider the amount of corals, we have corals covering only 1% of the globe's surface, but 25%, a quarter of the marine biodiversity are dependent on these corals. And we see that more and more marine heat waves happen, the coral and the marine ecosystem suffers. It degrades our marine ecosystem and marine fisheries as well. So that's an impact, double whammy, the cyclones and the marine ecosystem, marine fisheries damage. That is a double whammy on the coastal communities. Sure. And we see that from 20 marine heat waves per year in the last decades, it is going up to 220 or 250 marine heat waves per year in the near future. By 2050s, 2060s, that's like a near permanent marine heat wave state for the Indian Ocean. And the impacts could be unimaginable, even for a climate scientist like me.
Very briefly, the Indian Ocean dipole is a particular condition. And that, if it alters, and there are signs of that already happening, also means that the pattern of the monsoons could be impacted. Is that right?
Yeah, some of the phenomena like the El Nino in the Pacific, the Indian Ocean dipole in the Indian Ocean, it's like dipole is a phenomena where we have generally warm waters in the west near the Arabian Sea region and cool waters in the Southeast Indian Ocean. It can be in the positive phase or in the negative phase. And when that happens, like once in 5 years or 7 years, it's not very periodic. When that happens, it can change or modulate how the monsoon works out. And we are seeing that we could have more extreme warm conditions of this Indian Ocean dipole, which could affect the monsoon. So some years it could give above average monsoon rainfall, but along with that, if we have warm Arabian Sea temperatures like the trend that we see, it could result in extreme rains along the west coast of India and parts of central India as well.
Well, this is all very frightening, but it's so important that we keep talking about this. We will on this program. Thank you very much, Dr. Koll, for being with us. Thank you very much indeed. We're out of time on Left, Right and Centre this evening. From all of us here, goodbye.